Now, the New Game Plus Game of the Year all years is Earth Defense Force. Now, people argue that on the crew, and people tell you that perhaps there are better games every year, and why do we always have to fight ants? Those people are wrong, and the Game of the Year all year, every year for New Game Plus is Earth Defense Force. And luckily, just before the end of last year, Japan released Earth Defense Force 5. I was going to say the Battle for Middle Earth, but I don't think that's what it's called. Shaney, you've played it with me. Come on, tell me it's a pretty good game.
It is actually a pretty good game, and it also has reduced a little bit of lag in some of the previous games. So, you know what? Wow, you can play an EDF game without much, like, frame lag droppage.
You know that's why I don't care at all.
I know, but it helps gameplay-wise a little bit, as well as there's a really good few fresh elements into this game.
So for those who don't know what EDF is, it's basically you fight multitudes of... The aliens attack, and it's set in a kind of an alternate universe where 2017 and 2025 aren't main universe and everything else is set in an alternate universe. In this one, the bugs attack, the aliens attack, they drop bugs. They've got these huge, just giant bugs. And they send ants and spiders, and they send waves and waves after you, and you fight them using 3 or 4 different classes of warrior. Simple as that, right? Simple concept, and yet it works so well because it does that. Especially this latest one does that kind of sci-fi 1950s, like theremin music, kind of, save the universe kind of. Oh, that's my favorite thing about it.
I think the best thing about it, other than that, or maybe, no, actually even better than that, is just like the grinding.
Yeah.
Just the gameplay core grinding process of it. Like, it feels really, really nice to just like, keep progressing those missions and getting those stronger weapons, or even like, with this game, actually getting those, I guess, even passives or specific class, like, abilities.
So that was always the problem with the last one, was that you had the 4 different classes, and they played differently.
Yeah.
Like, Wing Diver flew, Fencer he was kind of a mobile tank, Air Raider and Ranger were probably the most similar, but even then they were different. In this, it's different again. Ranger gets the ability to run, Air Raider gets 3 weapons instead of the 2, plus the summon. You have the Fencer has like a whole new range of stuff. They can actually make changes to the frame itself, and the Wing Diver can change her plasma core. It all actually changes the strategy. It all changes the way you set your weapons up. So if you want like a huge bursty, dropping bombs on everyone, you want a quick recharge, high capacity tank. If you want a little bit more of a standard, I'm going to take out things from a distance on the Wing Diver, use a different core. Adding that to it and again, yes, you are going to grind. You're going to spend a lot of time grinding, but it's still fun to do. The grind is not boring. I think that's probably its greatest strength.
It's that, as well as there's so much new customization too. Adding those things just adds a few new elements to the game that really, really, I guess, enhances it for even new players, because there's so much newer ways that you could play this game rather than just the old styles. Because the abilities and stuff that are actually been added, there's so many newer ways that you can actually play the game, as well as new enemies, like the frogs that are just...
So, without going too far into spoiler territory, and not that spoilers matter that much in this game, let's be real, you have frogs. Frogs take kind of the place of the robots in the previous one. They take cover, they work in squads, they think somewhat tactically, which you aren't used to, because you're so used to these things just either running directly at you or doing salvos over your head if they're thing. So, to have that mix of enemies changes the way you have to approach a mission. It's like, cool, well, I'm facing off against wasps and ants, so I know how I have to face it. Now they've dropped 5 ants on me, 5 frogs on me. Now I have to adapt how I'm doing this. Like, I have to focus them down, or I have to take it. Like, it really does change up the tactical nature of the game. And it sounds strange that we're talking about it in such serious business, but if you want to grind effectively, you need to be thinking about these sort of things. The most efficient way to take these guys out.
As well as, like, there's so many different types of enemies just jumping in, as well as the frogs. So you've got to adjust to where you have to kill which one you want to kill.
Spiders are still the killer,
And even, like, if you're playing with friends, how they're actually building their classes and how you should build around their classes. Like, if you've got a friend who's building a lot of AoE stuff, maybe you should just focus on, one-shot damage kind of stuff. There's a lot of cool elements that you can actually really do with this game, and the new customization helps so much.
And plus, not to mention the fact that if I'm playing my character, I can grind weapons for someone else. You don't get the same drop rates, but you'll still get decent drop rates. They changed the way that scales depending on difficulty, depending on enemies, depending on health. So I played with that a little bit. The new weapons and the new reloads and all that kind of stuff is great. As an Air Raider player, having lines showing exactly where I'm dropping bombs is great. Like, the way that they've tweaked it, it's all quality of life improvements. There's nothing about the game I think 2025 necessarily does better, and I think that is exactly what a sequel like this should do.
Okay, I'd argue one point, and that's just because I'm a Ranger player.
Right.
The run is not that great.
No.
I don't really like the run in the Ranger is given, and it's just a little bit too kind of like tank-like. You're running in very much one direction, and there's not much change in direction that you can do. Rolling is still pretty OP, but I just want a little bit more like you're a ranger with light armor. You'd think you'd be able to maneuver.
The only thing I would say to that is that running, I think, offers you the ability to charge through some stuff, so you can run through fences and things like that, which rolling used to offer you the capacity to do. Rolling is still probably the most fuel-efficient way to move around the map, because as you roll, the game doesn't worry about physics anymore, so you can.
It's basically you're a moving tank.
Yeah.
But your major problem at the moment is that it hasn't got an English release yet. But the Japanese release is still so much fun and easily to play.
And that again, that is probably the one point I was going to bring up, is the fact that even with my reasonable Japanese knowledge and some of the other guys' actually good Japanese knowledge, we still struggled to translate some of the things that they were talking about. So once you get an idea of what the figures mean and what they do, and you can always go in the game and check it out and test what it does. But yeah, it does. You do struggle a little bit sometimes, because you're like, hang on, so this drops the cooldown? No, it doesn't. It drops the travel rate of the bullet. Like, it gets a little bit overwhelming. That said, I'm sure there's going to be a Western release like there's been previously, and I'm sure there's going to be a PC release.
And I'm so excited for it.